Hello friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I also hope you do the same in the comments down below. Also, I am now back in the YouTube Partner Program, so watching either on there or on Spotify would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by reallybadatjuggling on July 20th, 2023 and was titled, Am I the Jerk for Trying to Help My Girlfriend Without Hurting Her Feelings? I, 32 male, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend, 24 female, for almost 3 years now. When we first got together, she was pretty overweight and struggling with her self-esteem, depression, and anxiety. Over time, she started to work on herself, both physically and mentally. I've been incredibly proud of her progress and how far she's come. Lately, though, I noticed that she's been putting on some weight again, and it's been affecting her mental health. She's mentioned feeling down about her body image, and her struggles with anxiety and depression have resurfaced. I genuinely care for her, and I don't want to see her suffer like this. I thought about talking it out, but knew it would just devolve into asking if I'm still attracted to her. And truthfully, I have lost some attraction over the last month or so, though she does still look amazing for the most part. I thought it would be better to take a more subtle approach, so I've started adding small amounts of sawdust to her food. The idea being it would help her feel fuller faster and encourage her to eat less without her knowing. I was trying to prevent her from falling back into her previous state of depression and anxiety. Unfortunately, my brother, 30 male, caught me in the act, and he was shocked/angry. He told me I was being manipulative and abusive, which, okay, is a little shady, maybe, but abusive is a serious stretch. Now my brother is giving me an ultimatum. He wants me to tell my girlfriend what I've been doing by the end of the week, or he'll tell her himself. He believes she deserves to know the truth. I think what I've been doing is enough to help her without causing her unnecessary pain by revealing what I've done. She's already lost a few pounds. I told him I would stop, and I believe that should be sufficient. I don't see the point of telling her and potentially destroying the progress she's made. My brother thinks I'm completely in the wrong and that my girlfriend deserves the truth. But I genuinely believe I was doing what I thought was best for her, and I don't see it as a malicious act. Am I really the jerk for trying to help my girlfriend in this way, or is my brother overreacting? Should I tell my girlfriend what I've been doing, or keep it to myself to spare her feelings? I need honest opinions here. Please keep in mind that telling her upfront that she's put on weight could seriously set back her mental health. Scaling Stories Corner. Yo. I have never in my life ever heard about people eating sawdust to stay more full. But either way, even if that's a legit way to lose weight or not, it's wrong of OP to be forcing something into his girlfriend's diet without telling her. If you're in a relationship with someone else, you owe it to the other person to have proper communication and not be afraid of hurting the other person's feelings. Even if that means you're having a talk with your girlfriend that you're losing attraction to her because she's gaining weight. Like, even if that hurts her feelings, that is definitely the approach you should take if the other option is mixing stuff that your girlfriend probably doesn't want to eat into her food. And OP's brother? This guy has a good head on his shoulder because he sees OP doing this messed up thing and he's forcing him to tell his girlfriend or telling him herself because this is just not healthy relationship behavior. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, What the actual F? Sawdust? Yes, you're the jerk. You're secretly messing with your partner's food. They trust you and you're betraying that. Learn how to communicate. OP, downvoted, says, It's not out of maliciousness. It's not like I'm doing it to mess with her. I'm trying to protect her feelings and get her back on the right track. If I fully communicate with her, it could be really damaging to her mental health. Commenter 2 says, You're the jerk, for sure. The F? How do you think she'd react when she finds out you've been spiking her food with sawdust? That's so dumb, I legit lamowed. I think that was a nice touch at the end where you tried to manipulate the answers by dropping the effect it'd have on her mental health. You're the jerk. Commenter 3 says, I poisoned you because I was concerned about your mental health. Does sound like a convincing argument. OP, downvoted, says, It's not poison. That's so overly dramatic. It's just a filler that plenty of companies add to food already. Commenter 4 says, Man, do a Google search. Food corps don't wander down to a Home Depot and buy a bag of sawdust. It will F up her digestive tract. Humans don't eat trees, so it's not digested correctly. That's why companies use cellulose, which is wood pulp. There is a difference, and it's specifically processed for human consumption. All cause she's not hot to you anymore. Sorry, her mental health. Crap, man. Most people encourage their partners to get therapy and go do activities together. Update 3 years later. I don't think I can get over what I did. About 2 years ago, I added sawdust to my girlfriend's food in an attempt to help her lose weight. Long story short, my brother saw what I was doing and forced me to tell her. Reddit agreed with him, and I had to tell her because I was backed into a corner, although I didn't agree that it was the right thing to do at that time. I came clean to her a few days after. It was a while ago, so I don't remember all the details or what was said, but I basically sat her down and said I had something to tell her. She didn't believe me at first. We called my brother to confirm, and I showed her the bag of sawdust, and I guess the realization dawned on her that I was telling the truth. What followed was a heated fight lasting all night and into the early morning. Foolishly, I still thought I was at least somewhat in the right and brought up how it had helped her lose some weight. I was wrong. She pointed out how I said I'd only done it a few times over the course of about 2 weeks, and how could that possibly cause her to lose weight that fast? Which I had to admit she was right about. It turned out she had cut out drinking, and that was the cause of weight loss, not the sawdust. I don't know why, but this hit me hard. I realized that she already knew she was gaining weight and had already taken steps for her own happiness. I was going out of my way to spare her feelings, and she didn't need it. She was managing her own weight and her own feelings, and it wasn't the big deal I was making it out to be or something that I needed to carefully manage in order to protect her. Obviously, the relationship ended that night. We didn't live together, so the breakup was pretty smooth. Over the next month, she got a checkup, and all was good, and she agreed to not press charges if I got professional help to deal with my control issues. We kept in touch for a while, but it seemed cruel for me to stay in her life. I didn't deserve her friendship or her forgiveness. The fact that she offered both speaks to what kind of person she is, and it felt wrong to take advantage of that as I started coming to terms with how I treated her. We eventually drifted far apart enough to end contact, and she was doing well, the last I heard. She told me once that she thought I was emotionally abusive to her, and I think she's probably right. Her previous relationship before me was physically abusive, and the last I heard from her, she was going to take some time to figure out how to avoid the same patterns moving forward. That one haunts me, and I'll never forgive myself for abusing someone I thought I loved. I got counseling, as promised, and found out that I have avoidant personality disorder. Basically, this means that I'm overly concerned with rejection and ridicule. I try to manage relationships to avoid being embarrassed, to the point that I control people I care about and try to carefully direct their feelings as I did with Amy. That's not an excuse. What I did was wrong, but now I recognize that voice and what it is. I also realized in counseling that I did have a preoccupation with weight and that it might be linked with the disorder. For some background, I grew up in a household where what my father said was law. He had expectations for how his children should look and act, as well as what were and weren't acceptable interests. My brother and I were expected to behave like upstanding young men, and my sisters were expected to be proper young ladies. My father regularly teased us, my sisters especially, if we didn't meet this image. At one point, this manifested as incessant jokes about one sister's weight in particular. I want to tell myself that I was attracted to my girlfriend regardless of size, and it was my disordered thought patterns trying to save her from ridicule that was causing my preoccupation with weight loss, but I also think I was just being a jerk. I know now that this experience is there in the back of my mind and is something to be aware of. So that's it. That's the whole story. Now the confession. I hate myself. I worry that I've ruined my ex's ability to trust. In counseling, I say and try to affirm that I can be loved without being perfect. But doesn't what I've done just confirm that I'm a bad person deep down? What's worse is that I know if we'd stayed together, I would have gone back to being emotionally abusive over time. My ex has forgiven me, but I don't think I can ever forgive myself. ScalingStories Corner. So, I'm glad OP's girlfriend got tested after finding out she was getting poisoned by OP, and there ended up being nothing wrong with her. Probably because OP hadn't done it enough times yet for some serious permanent damage to happen. I'm sort of glad that OP went to counseling and found out some of the reasons on why he behaves the way he does. But he was still a jerk at the end of the day, no matter what the reasons behind his behaviors were. I hope he's able to keep self-reflecting and do better if he ever finds himself in another relationship in the future. Or just stay single, because if he says that he knows he would have gone back to being emotionally abusive over time, then no partner really deserves that. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, I go here because I'm watching old entries from Smosh Reads, and they got to your story. It was a horror one. I don't have kind words for you. Your trauma from your father doesn't justify you being an emotional abuser or a food tamperer. You need therapy, lots and lots of it, and I hope you get better and never contact Amy again. It would be cruel to want you to suffer, so I'll just say, I hope you get what you deserve. Commenter 2 says, your father did it to his children. It's not only sick but patronizing to treat her like a child and know better instead of having a conversation. Even to children, he was openly teasing, not hiding and adding sawdust to her food. You're still finding excuses and seem to want her back. If you have any decency left, stop contacting her and start fresh. OP says, I did. We're not in contact anymore. And you're right, there's no excuse for what I did. But, for the record, my father was wrong for what he did too. My sister is still dealing with the fallout from his name-calling. Commenter 3 says, you deserve to be in jail. You abused her. You're a monster. Commenter 4 says, hey man, I'll only be supportive solely due to the fact that you've made an effort to better yourself and realize what you did wrong. That whole sawdust incident was horrendous. Yes, but you did get therapy, and now you have a reason as to why you behaved the way you did. You'll always feel like it's an excuse, but at the end of the day, mental problems do change our perspectives on things. I suggest you move on. Dwelling in the past is burdensome, and a relationship is a blessing, but when it dies, all things that are related to it turn to curses. Get on with your life. Stop dwelling in the past. I hope my words can encourage you to take a step forward and live your life with a new outlook. Stay safe. Okay friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the Relationships subreddit. It was posted by jellyjapanthrowaway on April 20th, 2016 and was titled, My boyfriend and his family are going on my dream vacation and I don't know how to deal with my jealousy. Hi relationships. First of all, I want to acknowledge how petty this is of me. I have no doubt in my mind that the jealousy I'm feeling is completely uncalled for. I just want to know how to deal with it. So, for years and years, it has been my dream to visit Japan. I began learning Japanese in elementary school, and I am fascinated by their culture. I cook Japanese food, read books in Japanese, and stay up to date with the culture. As I'm graduating college in a few months, I would love to have a travel the world vacation over the summer to Japan, but sadly, it's just not possible. I don't have that kind of money. To make matters even worse, in my junior year, I was given the opportunity to study abroad there and even received a small scholarship, but the degree plan I am in would not permit it. My boyfriend of 3 years, Jack, and his family, late 50s, are all aware of my love of Japan and desire to visit, and even the sensitive subject of the failed study abroad semester. So, when his parents surprised me by telling me about their trip to Japan this summer, I was confused and shocked. Jack has zero interest in going to Japan. He's told me as much since then, and he didn't even know about the vacation until his parents told me. The biggest problem is, every time they make more plans in Japan, booking tickets, meeting with tour guides, adding another place to visit, they make a big show of it to me and fill me in on every last detail. Maybe they think that it will be interesting to me, but in reality, it just upsets me. And yes, I know for a fact that I'm not invited. They've made it very clear that it's just a family vacation. They have also met with and hired a local translator to come on vacation with them. They are paying for his vacation and his translating services, and the selfish part of me wants to know, why couldn't they have just used me? I'm fluent. Jack and his family have taken lavish family trips for as long as I have known them. They are very wealthy and have taken numerous enviable vacations. The Bahamas, New York, England, France, Grand Canyon, whereas I have never been out of our home state. And all the places they've been before seem like typical hotspots for tourists and travelers. I just can't understand why they want to go to Japan, the one place that I've gushed about visiting for years to them, and why they've decided to make a big publicity show about it. I need your help on how to cope with this jealousy. Is this something that I should just suck up and deal with? Or should I speak to Jack about it? I feel like it's so trivial that telling him how I feel would be pointless. I also want to know how to kindly tell his parents to stop mentioning every detail of their trip to me. ScalingStories Corner. So, I feel like Jack's parents probably did not choose to use OP as a translator is because most likely an actual translator would be more fluent than OP. And I know I'm judging OP's Japanese here without ever hearing it or knowing how fluent she is myself, but that's just my guess. Jack's family is crazy wealthy, so they probably just picked Japan on a whim. I would say it's kind of weird for them to not want to pay for OP to come along, even if it's just a family vacation. Because if Jack and OP have been dating for 3 years, then don't you sort of know OP to a decent extent too? At least if I had a kid and they had a partner for 3 years already, I would kind of consider that partner to be part of the family a little bit. But maybe that's some kind of rich people mindset that I'm not clicking with. Because if they're really rich, I don't see how spending a little bit more for OP would be that hard. But I also understand that OP is not entitled to them treating her. Maybe they're also telling OP all the details because they're out of touch and thinks that OP would be happy for them that they're visiting Japan even though they're not taking her. It's like, for example, if I had a friend who loved going to raves and festivals, but they couldn't go to EDC Las Vegas, but say I'm going to EDC Las Vegas, right? And I'm telling them how excited I am and all the details. I understand how that would probably bum my friend out who isn't able to attend. But at the same time, from a third-party perspective, my friend should probably be happy for me that I'm going. But also at the same time, I should be mindful not to bring it up too often so they don't get FOMO. Jack's parents are probably just not knowledgeable about that last part. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "They make a big show of it to me and fill me in on every last detail. Maybe they think that it will be interesting to me, but in reality, it just upsets me. It sounds to me as though they really want you to come, but they don't want to, understandably, pay your expenses. I would love to have a travel the world vacation over the summer to Japan, but sadly, it's just not possible. I don't have that kind of money. Are Jack's parents aware of this? It's hard to fault them if not. If they deliberately chose Japan because they know you like it, have shared every departure and arrival detail/transit/hotel, then it really seems like they are opening their family vacation up to the possibility of you joining. That said, it's a long life, and you seem like you're on a good track. After college, you can look for employment in Japan if you love it so much. Sorry it isn't working out for you now, but don't lose hope." OP says, "Hi, thanks for the reply. The bit about working in Japan does sound really exciting. Unfortunately, they are very aware of my income problem. They know that I've wanted to go there over previous summer vacations but haven't had the money for it, and I think I even mentioned not being able to pay for it this summer either, before they announced their trip. Part of what makes me so jealous is that they are flaunting this extravagant vacation despite being aware of my financial situation, frowny face. Like you said, I think this is all well-intentioned by them. It could be possible that they want me to tag along. I know this vacation is going to be in the middle of a hiking trip Jack and I were planning, so maybe they are trying to tell me something?" Commenter 2 says, "And what does Jack say about that? Is that hiking trip cancelled now? I'm wondering if this is somehow them trying to get Jack to do something, like pay for your trip or break up with you, or something even weirder." OP says, "I actually haven't put much thought into the hiking trip, but yeah, I suppose it is cancelled now. Slanted face emoji. It was just an idea though, nothing completely concrete, so it can be rescheduled. Not sure about any of that. They seem to really like me as his girlfriend, but admittedly, I don't have any idea what they truly think. Jack does not have a job yet, going into the workforce after college, so I don't think they want him to pay." Update 1 week later. "Hi relationships. Thanks for all of your advice in my previous posts. To those of you giving me information on programs in Japan, thank you. I took all of your advice to heart, but unfortunately, I already have a job in the STEM field lined up to begin this summer, and programs like those are not in the realm of possibilities. Anyway, on to the actual update. I talked to Jack the night after I made my post. I told him that I knew his parents meant well by it, but the way they were constantly filling me in on the details of their trip made me more sad than interested. At first, Jack didn't understand what I was trying to say or why hearing about the trip would upset me. When I reminded him about my rejection from the study abroad program and the time he'd spent helping me work through that, he was able to empathize a little more. Jack told me he recognized that his parents were, albeit indirectly, being rude by going out of their way to tell me about the vacation. He said that gushing so much about a vacation to anyone who wasn't going was insensitive, and if I asked them politely, they would tone it down. Unfortunately, he refused to talk to them himself. I'd requested that he do so to get things resolved a little more smoothly, but in the end, it was up to me. I decided to call ahead and visit Jack's parents privately to have the conversation instead of during or after one of our dinners. That would have been awkward. I broached the subject with his parents by saying that I appreciated their thoughtfulness in trying to keep me updated on the vacation planning, but that travel to Japan was still a sore subject to me, and hearing about it made me sad. I spoke for a while about my dream to travel there, the study abroad, and how I was very regretful that the experience had impacted me so strongly. It was incredibly selfish of me to get jealous so easily, and I plan to work on my sensitivity in light of the issue. I had hoped that by making the conversation more focused on my behavior than theirs, it would deflect the blame from them and feel like less of a direct attack. It did not work so well. Throughout my whole monologue, they were completely silent. As soon as I finished, Jack's mom said quite coldly, "I'm sorry you're offended." I kept the conversation going for a few more minutes, trying my hardest to reiterate that it wasn't their fault, but I received only short, cold responses. Jack's dad did not speak at all and walked out of the room as soon as I stood up to leave. Before I left, I thanked his mother for speaking with me and said I'd see them at dinner during the week. Her only response was, "We'll see." When I told Jack about the confrontation, he was confused by their reaction but changed his stance on the whole thing. Now he's saying that I was being unreasonable from the start, and I should have been able to tell they would take it poorly, as it was rude of me to mention it to them at all. He insists that they would have had the same reaction if he had told them instead of me. Over the course of the week, Jack's parents never contacted me about dinner, which the four of us usually have together weekly. Our dinner dates are always on Wednesday, so yesterday, I decided to take the plunge and give his mom a call. I asked if she was still on for our usual Wednesday dinner and told her I'd been wanting to make a new recipe for them to try out for a while now. She said, "Sorry, that's not going to work," and that was the end of the conversation. So here's where I am now, hurt and completely confused. His parents are ignoring me completely, and my relationship with Jack is strained since he vehemently denies supporting me at all. I'm at a loss for what to do here. I don't know why either of them reacted like this. Any advice is appreciated, as always, but I've decided to just see if time will mend the wounds. In the meantime, I'm reconsidering my relationship with all three of them. Edit. Jack's mom called me on the phone a couple of hours ago. In a nutshell, she told me very spitefully that they brought it up to me so frequently to make me jealous. She said they were hoping I would eventually break down and beg them to pay for me to come. That way they could show Jack that I am of a lesser social standing and not a good fit for him. Then, she basically broke up with me for Jack over the phone. WTF? I am honestly at such a loss here. Maybe this was just a lie she made up because she was offended, but even so, it's incredibly hurtful. I have no idea if Jack knows about any of this, but I don't care. I am done with him and them. I do not want to be associated with such classist, manipulative people. This was such a terrific waste of 3 years of my life. Scaling Stories Corner. Yikes. Jack's parents were complete jerks. That's kind of nasty to view OP as a lesser human being just because she isn't made from money. I mean, she's still in college and still working on things, so of course she's not able to afford fancy vacations on her own. It's actually kind of funny because the parents probably thought everything was going according to plan when OP called to meet to talk to them. And when she didn't beg them to pay for her and instead said things like, "Oh, I'm sorry about my feelings, I'll work on them, but please don't mention the trip to me," they were probably seething inside because that shows OP wasn't some greedy girl. And honestly, screw that entire family, and screw Jack too, because he didn't defend OP at all, and he shamelessly changed his stance on the situation, probably because he's afraid to get into an argument with his parents. OP is better off without any of them. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "Just read the update. Just remember, you are a young bilingual woman entering a STEM field with your entire future in front of you. You'll make it to Japan someday, with a job lined up, probably sooner than you think. And Jack? Well, Jack is a 23-year-old man who just had his mommy break up for him." Commenter 2 says, "Well, now you know they're spineless snobs and you can move on and find better people. And given how crappy these people are, that will be very easy for someone as good as you. Jack must have known they didn't think highly of you. That's why he refused to speak with them. He didn't want to go against them. It's a shame that, out of the four of you, you were the only adult." Commenter 3 says, "So hilarious that Jack's mom was trying to show Jack that his girlfriend lacked class and a proper upbringing. I think we all know who the classless one is here." Okay friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care. Which one of you are staying after the credits rolled, huh? I see you. I just wanted to put a little fun thing at the end and say that I'm really happy to be back in the YouTube Partner Program, and that these past 7 months have been unreal hard on the mental. But I'm pretty glad at the direction I took with the channel, and I'm really glad I'm able to make it a little more personal to me. So yeah, I'll just keep trying my best. And thank you so much for supporting me this entire time.